What up, everybody? It's Double G and John LaRocca here on the Fight Game podcast. We are actually recording the entire show for YouTube. So if you are watching it on YouTube, you will get to see how we get to our segments and some little clips. You may see John when he feels a sneeze coming on. He's like the best guy in the business to mute before the sneeze comes. Like it's really kind of a hard thing because sometimes I'll see people that can sense the sneeze is coming and then they can't react fast enough and they forget, they can't press like John's the best at it. So you see that. And maybe another one that he's really good at is his wife will ask him a question and he's got one ear on me and he's got one ear on her. And he is able to handle that scenario. So you might see that scenario.
Maybe the cat might make an appearance sometimes. The cat. How long have we been doing this now? What year are we at with just recording our podcast here?
That's a good question. So I tried to do a thing where I counted up all the episodes, and we started this show. I think we were doing it on SoundCloud at first. And then we were doing it on Blue Wire, and then we got dropped by Blue Wire. And I think right when we got dropped by Blue Wire, I sent Brian Alvarez an email. I was like, hey, what do you think? I was already doing the show with Dave. I was like, what do you think about me just bringing this show over as well? He's like, sounds good. Let me talk to Tony Leader. And so that happened. Gosh, that would have happened pre-pandemic. So we're probably I think I have us at, upwards of 250 episodes or something. Well, we're probably, if I could have figured out the right count, we're probably over 300 for sure.
Yeah, I just learned the mute button the last 50 episodes, so it's a skill I just recently learned.
Great usage, best mute guy in the business. So what are we going to talk about tonight? So do our normal thumbs up, thumbs down. Our lead story will kind of be WTF Forbidden Door. I was perplexed at some of these matches that are made for this show. Though, if I think about it, because of that crossover with New Japan, it is often more like an all-star game than a unique AEW show that they've built to. So you're always going to get some of that, but I don't know. I watched Dynamite and I was like, where are these matches coming from? Where are the builds to these matches? Did they just pull them out of thin air? Are people hurt? We can't have this, this match between Darby and Mox. Why? Is it just because Ospreay was available and they wanted to do this cage? There's lots of questions that I hope to have some answers to at some point. But yeah, so WTF Forbidden Door will be our lead story. Then we'll hit the AEW, WWE. We actually have some interesting TNA news to talk about. It's not actually news, it's rumors, but and we'll hit those later on. There's a TripleMania show this weekend on YouTube, and so yeah, just tons of stuff. And I guess NXT goes head to head with Forbidden Door next week, so they're building up to that, and it's just chaos, nothing but chaos going on right now.
That's another underwhelming kind of card from. I just heard what most of the matches are going to be, and I was like, or I saw somewhere, and I'm like, that's a Forbidden Door's not looking too hot, and that Heat Wave show's not looking too hot. So
yeah,
it's some shows happening that weekend, I guess. That's it.
But I actually wanted to get your thoughts on this because this was kind of somewhere down the rundown. But Paul and I talked about this on Takedown, and in September, AEW is running All Out, and WWE has created a PLE for Brock Lesnar and John Cena. That is the heavy rumor. I just keep calling it a rumor because I don't think we got a name for the PLE. I don't think I've seen a building or whatever, so it's still out there. But we saw at All In, WWE tried to run Saturday night's main event, and then they ran an NXT show at the same because that was a long AEW show. Didn't seem to affect AEW's buy rate. AEW did their fourth biggest buy rate ever for that show, which was a big show. Putting Cena and Lesnar to me is a little bit of a different story, and I do wonder how that affects All Out. I think presumably we're getting the Edge and Christian and FTR match there.
Yeah.
Probably a little bit bigger of a deal, but until we actually see the head-to-head and we see what happens, I don't even know if I can predict, if it's going to hurt AEW's business or not.
I don't think so, because, I mean, if you really wanted to, you can watch one show one day and the next show the other day, or the same night, on replay. So it doesn't, I don't know, it might take some people away. Maybe Brock and Cena for sure. I'm guessing they're going to call it Bad Blood. I'm guessing that's what it's going to be called.
It's a name that they've used in the past, for sure.
Yeah, so
as long as they don't call it Great Balls of Fire.
Yeah. It won't be what was that, Taboo Tuesday, because that was the worst. I'd rather take Great Balls of Fire or Big Balls of Fire than Taboo Tuesday, which I hated.
So that's another wrinkle, and then there's this thought that for World's End that WWE wants to run John Cena's retirement match, but that there may be a conflict with NBC and the football playoffs where they may not be able to do it. So there's lots of moving pieces, and the TNA news will have something to do with that when we talk about it in a little bit as well. All right, why don't we get to it here? Let's get to our thumbs up and thumbs down.
Thumbs up, thumbs down.
I told you before we went on the air that my thumbs up and thumbs down is essentially the same segment. So if you want to go first, you can go, or I can go and get mine out of the way, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I'll start. My thumbs up was from Raw. It was the opening segment. CM Punk, LA Knight. I like their confrontation in the ring. I like two wrestlers, both passionate about winning the championship and both having, gripes of why they deserve it. And I thought LA Knight he does his best. This was his best stuff in a very long time. And I like their kind of playing with him going heel. And I think it's just going to help him out greatly. So I really enjoy that segment. And then to go into my thumbs down, let's quickly go my thumbs down. Same show. I love the main event, but I hate that we're getting at the Clash of the Castle. Another multi-person championship match for the title. I get it. It does fit in a way, but I'm just over it, man. And we know Seth's probably gonna get by the skin of his teeth and retain the title. And I just, that show, I'm pumped for Roman Reigns versus Bronson Reed. I really want to see that match. But when it comes to this 4-way, I don't know. I think it's just the 4-way gimmick itself. I'm just over it. 4-way, 3-way, 6-way, done with it.
Yeah, it's a means to an end, which is they need to have a world title match on the other side because Cody and Drew, I think, is for that show. But it is, it is definitely like crutch booking, and that's what, to me, I was thinking about this when we were talking about the ESPN thing, the ESPN deal. Because if you're ESPN, you go, okay, we got Rumble, we got WrestleMania. Those are far and above the top 2 events in the WWE calendar. And hey, SummerSlam, 2 nights, they are trying hard to make that show, the 3rd show. But I don't think it's even close to Rumble as like the 2nd most look forward to show. But if you have those 3 shows, you're like, okay, those are A shows. B shows, Money in the Bank, maybe Survivor Series, and maybe Elimination Chamber. I would consider those like the next level. And all of these international pay-per-views to me are C shows. And you can just tell because of the way that they put the matches together. I think Cody and Drew's going to be pretty darn good.
Yeah,
but unless they're changing up gears here, that Cody's going to not lose the title. This is his first title defense. And, like you said, Seth is not going to lose his title. So right then and there, you're like, okay, this is a little bit of like this is just because they have to have it, and things will move, things will adjust in other directions, but not in those world title pictures. And, Logan against John Cena, it's whatever to me, though I think some people will enjoy that match. So yeah, like I'm just like, man, some of these pay-per-views, like they go so hard for SummerSlam And then they're like, oh yeah, Clash in Paris. Here's a show that, that we're not going to put a ton of effort into. And that's their calendar. And I get it, but I do think it's no longer the 5 or 6 top tentpole shows on their calendar. I think it's 3. And I think it's 3 really good ones. And then I think it's the rest are just like blown up Saturday night main event style cards that they can sell to international places, get money for them, and not have to really worry too much about the booking. And so, some of the Saudi Arabia ones are kind of in there too.
Yeah, I don't. Well, Clash of Paris. I mean, they do have big matches. Roman Reigns and Bronson's a big match. Cena and Logan Paul is a big match. I just think
what are the stakes in Cena and Logan Paul though? Like, what happens if Logan Paul wins?
It's a big match between 2 big stars. Logan Paul's a big star. Cena definitely a big star. It's a special attraction match. I think that's, they're giving that on that pay-per-view, which that could easily have been a SummerSlam or a Survivor Series match for sure.
Logan Paul is the main eventer of the C shows. If you think about how they do their thing, like he remember he had that really good match with Roman Reigns, but it was one of those international shows, right? Like it was like, okay, like we're getting paid for this thing. We don't have to push this as equal to a WrestleMania main event, but it's going to be fun. And it was fun. But when you pull that trigger with Logan Paul, so many times I'm like, okay, I get it. I understand what this is because I've seen it 3 or 4 times by now. So it's fine, but it's not something where I'm like, oh man, people thought they were getting Cena and Brock at that show. Now they know why they're not. Logan and Cena is just not anything that I was really all that interested in seeing as far as you're putting the calendar together for Cena's last X number of matches. And like, Logan Paul would have been maybe in the 15 to 20 range as far as singles matches I wanted to see.
They're probably going to do, I'm sure Brock is coming out on that show, probably attacking.
Yeah, I'm sure he
Cena
is
again. And
they got to get the moment. They got to get they got to get that big moment.
And Logan will probably beat Cena, which is good because he's going to be there, on a regular basis because Cena's on his way out and leads to Cena and Brock at whatever that pay-per-view is against All Out.
Okay, so here's my full thumbs up and thumbs down here. Edge and Stokely are having this segment on TV.
This is almost my thumbs down.
So this starts out as I don't even know what I would consider it, 1999 WWE television with the hose and with the call and response with the fans and with the bully babyface beating up on the non-wrestling heel. And so I'm watching this thing and going like, wow, like Adam Copeland is really pulling out his like Vince Russo-esque stuff that he really enjoyed when he was wrestling back in the day. And so then FTR comes out. I don't even know how they have their restraining order against him in the first place, but that's the storyline. As long as they didn't touch him, the restraining order with him against them was still locked in.
No, I think they said something else is now void or something like that.
Well, once they attacked him, that voided the restraining order. So that's why he kept antagonizing them, saying, you're going to let your boy out here just die or whatever. So Stoke throws the powder, gets DQ'd. They start beating on Adam. And then Christian comes out. And I'm thinking like, okay, this is kind of cool, but there's still got to be some gray area here because the last time we saw them, they were kind of looking at each other semi-fondly, but still understanding that Christian is still a giant jackass and Edge doesn't trust him. But them being in the ring together, I was like, you know what? This is a really cool moment. This is a great piece of the storytelling in which they are going to get back together. And so that was like my favorite part of Dynamite was just Christian coming out, that music playing, them seeing each other and being like, maybe this thing can happen again. That was my thumbs up. Their immediate hug was my thumbs down. I was like, what the hell? You created this chicken salad out of chicken shit because you didn't know how to break Christian away from Nick. And so now you have the opportunity, and you have a whole month and a week until All Out, which is what we're building to. And then you just immediately hotshot it in the ring for no reason. And even worse, if there was a worse than a thumbs down, whatever that is, they're having a match at Forbidden Door against Nick Wayne and Kip Sabian.
Yeah.
They're going to, I hope they kill them. Like, I hope they just run them over. But when Adam Copeland came back, what did he say? He said, you know what? I kind of sympathize with Nick. Like, Nick is the good guy in this situation, right? That's what he said. Now, maybe he changed his mind because Nick and Kip gave Christian the concerto. Unless I've missed something in the television, I don't know that he said that. It's quite possible that because I don't watch Collision very often, that he could have said, now it's on, you guys are being dicks. But like the last time I saw him, he was like, I kind of empathize with Nick. Christian is kind of a dick. But all of a sudden now they hug, they're blood brothers, they're tag team again. And we blew through 5 weeks of storytelling in one night. And I hate that.
That's classic Tony Khan booking. He just gets impatient and rushes things, and there's no need to rush this. You had to do something to get the fans to be sympathetic to Christian because he's been so evil for so long. And he just it was just like the Cena thing with the heel turning him bayface. Let's just do it. Let's just do it now. Get it over with.
Yeah.
Same thing happened here. Like, okay, let's just get to them back together as a tag team. And there's, we don't need to go into too much detail. Fans will be happy. And honestly, they just picked the wrong show to do it at because that crowd was dead for, I think, 99% of that show. Even when they got together, they got a nice light applause for that crowd. So it didn't feel like a giant moment to me, but it should be. It should have been a huge deal. But it wasn't built up. They didn't build the emotional moment up enough. So when it happened, it was just like, oh, cool, And now they're a tag team. Maybe they should win that match at Forbidden Door, I assume. I hope they don't have miscommunication problems and issues and all this nonsense. And yeah, I guess FTR would be that match at All Out would be one of their big featured matches. So which would be a good match, but I don't know, I thought they should have done something, a longer term storyline with Christian, or something that I think they should have done something with Edge and his family, and like I said, Uncle Jay, something to break him down. I was trying to, just do something. I think I kind of explained like last week, like in that idea, where he kind of like, breaks down that wall across that heart of his and finds that and connects with Edge again through the family, through his, I think Edge has a couple daughters, so through his nieces, or something like that. So, so I don't know. I just thought they should have done something like that instead of just what they did. I mean, but that's Tony Khan. We've seen it before. Remember, we always talk about how he likes to skip, like, he does A, maybe B, but then skips, C and D and just goes straight to the end, so.
Like, I think there have been historical moments where, as fans, you wanted a little bit more storytelling, but because of certain dates or whatever, you kind of skip things. And it works out fine in the end because all really the fans wanted to see was the reconciliation. And that very well might be the case here, but they deliberately went in slow motion on this thing. And so you're like, okay, like, they're going to tell this great story. And then all of a sudden they're just like, nah, we gave up and we're doing it this way.
And don't forget, remember, Christian was being hard on Nick, right? Remember, he won the title, the TV, ROH TV title. And he was kind of like, making him defend the title when he wasn't against people he wasn't ready against and all that stuff. And all of a sudden they flipped it where, Nick's being the punk and Kip's being the punk.
And maybe it'll be a little 1997 Sting and Lex Luger. Well, Christian will still kind of give the mean face while Edge is baby face. And maybe they do a little bit more of that. I don't know. There's some.
They're not that good.
Christian's actually pretty damn good.
No,
he
he's a
might,
good word.
he might
I'm
not
just
be.
saying.
I don't think he's Lex Luger
No.
in that disingenuous, because that was like a really good version of Lex Luger. But he's pretty good at being disingenuous.
Yeah.
Okay, let's hit our main story here. All right, this leads very well into WTF Forbidden Door. And I took a look at the current list of these matches, and I guess I can't, what I can't tell is what is official and what is not. I think so. Based on tonight's Collision, I think they may have made some matches. Unless Collision taped last night, or did they tape?
No, it was tonight because there's highlights stuff I saw.
Okay.
They announced that Ace Austin got signed by AEW and he made his debut on the show. Nearly fell on his head.
So we won't talk about the stuff that hasn't been made as of Dynamite, but we'll talk about, because there's already a lot of matches, and there better be. The show's next week. So let's talk about the segment on AEW Dynamite where Will Ospreay came out and chased Jon Moxley into the crowd. Basically said, you tried to break my neck, and if you don't want to fight Darby Allin, and this is after Darby Allin put Moxley's boy in the body bag last week. And so this week, Moxley basically said no, that he's not going to have the match. And so then Will Ospreay said, well, if you're not going to do it, then you're going to fight us, and we're going to just be in this like crazy cage match. And so I mean, I'm sure Moxley could have turned that one down too. He could have been like, yeah, I'm good. But somehow like that one happened and this one didn't. And so one of them involved Tony Khan and maybe one of them didn't. And for some reason, MJF and Hangman doesn't have anything to do with Tony Khan, but Will Ospreay asking for a match has something to do with Tony Khan. They need to clear that thing up. Maybe just for me, maybe other people don't care. But anyways, post All In, Will Ospreay had come out in Dynamite and cut a promo. And he was a very sad guy. Mm-hmm. He didn't know about his neck and this and that, and he was going to be at Forbidden Door, or he was going to work his way to Forbidden Door, but there was a sad promo, specifically sad, to set up the idea that either he's legit hurting and he might miss that show, or maybe he's not even going to wrestle, maybe he's just going to be in some sort of deal. So now fast forward a few weeks and he comes out and he's like, I'm going to be in this cage match, and I don't even know who's on my team yet. We're still putting that together. And then Renee's like, but I thought you were hurt. He's like, no, I'm good.
yeah. I'm
just like, again, like where was I missed a part of this story that would have been the natural evolution to what he was doing. Cause I fully expected that he was going to wrestle. Mm-hmm. And maybe, I don't know that this necessarily hides him if he is hurt, because he's going to jump off the cage again. But so here's the match. Ooh. And the funniest thing about this match is I just envision like Omega and Okada like watching the show on TV and just being like, wait, what? We're in this match? Mm-hmm. Because they just randomly just throw out names in a graphic and it's like, boom, Omega Ibushi, Darby Allin Tanahashi, and Will Ospreay versus Castagnoli, Moxley, the Young Bucks, and Gabe Kidd. And the Young Bucks, who were being made fun of on the TV show again, they're just sitting in the back, and Moxley just goes over there and he's like, good to talk to you guys, shut the door. And they're just in the match. And Moxley's entire reason for having the Death Riders was because all of these young prima donnas who never did anything in this business, and they're not tough, and they're taking it for granted off the backs of the, X, Y, and Z. And here you have the Young Bucks just being made fun of constantly, and, goofballs on the show. And he's like, you guys, I want you guys. Now, maybe he helps them get back their Eye of the Tiger, like maybe, but again, it just feels so rushed. It's like we did this big giant pay-per-view in Texas, which was so successful, and then we didn't have a great plan for this one, and we just put some stuff together at the last minute. Yeah. Unless, again, if I'm missing some pieces of the storytelling, because I don't watch Collision for the most part. Like, okay, somebody needs to let me know. But I'm based on what I saw on Dynamite, a lot of this stuff came out of left field.
Yeah, it did. It did. And I don't understand why you have Ospreay cut that emotional promo about his neck. Will he wrestle? Will he not wrestle? Who was the one that injured him at the pay-per-view?
Oh gosh, was
Claudio?
it Castagnoli? I think it might have been Castagnoli.
So why you have him come back and
Because Moxley was wrestling the match.
yeah, he was wrestling the match. So why'd you have him come back and wrestle Claudio in a singles match? Just do that, you know? Why this cage match? Why is Tanahashi in a cage match? Poor guy, you know, and Ibushi. I mean, and Omega, it's just they're just throwing these guys out there to do just this cold. Nah, it's not really a cold match, but it's just I don't know. Not excited for that.
It feels like a placeholder match for wherever they're going next. And I think the excuse to do it is because, like I said, Forbidden Door is kind of like an all-star game where it is the one show that is like kind of half in the AEW ecosystem and half out of the AEW ecosystem. And you're trying to like put some stuff together that gets your fans excited for kind of an all-star event. So
sorry about that. They could have done another team up with Ospreay and Omega or something else, you know, something like that. I mean, Ospreay, Omega, Tanahashi versus the Death Riders, or I don't know about this cage match. It seems really over the top, and maybe they're like trying to make up for not doing the War Games match, that Blood and Guts match, which
couldn't they have done it here if they wanted to?
Yeah, they should have. They should have just done it here. Might as well.
Somebody said maybe getting 2 rings to London would be a pain in the butt. I don't know if that is a pain in the butt or not. I would probably, but I mean, Tony's a very rich man. So.
I know exactly what else he spends money on. That would be, I'm sure he'll be fine. But yeah, pretty underwhelming. And I saw the graphic and I didn't realize it was a cage match, so I watched the replay of Dynamite this afternoon.
Lights out steel cage.
Lights out. So a lot of gimmicks. And if Ospreay, like, was he really hurt? You know, was he really that? Or maybe they had a plan and it just didn't work out the way they wanted to work out. So.
Yeah, and I always kind of think about that from a benefit of the doubt perspective because talent gets hurt. That just happens. And so I think Tony, when talent does get hurt, he tries to make good and put something else together. And again, hardcore AEW fan base probably has no problem with this match at all. It's just not something that I was led to believe or through the television or that I was like kind of interested in. What do you think about MJF and Hangman?
That has the most interest of the show, right? It's the main event for the title. MJF, Hangman got under his skin to where he, had MJF, cash in his championship contract that he won on that one casino gimmick match, and I thought the promo was fine, what they're doing, but I want to see what's going to happen. I mean, does Hurt Syndicate happen and MJF on the belt? Does Hangman retain? Then what's next for Hangman? He's got
to retain, right? Like this is first.
What's next for Hangman?
First pay-per-view title defense.
Who do they have ready for Hangman after MJF if they win? If he wins?
You could have had Briscoe, and actually, I would have rather had Briscoe in this match and save MJF for the next show. Like my issue with this isn't. I think the match is going to be great because those guys are great together. My issue is that I just wish this match was 6 months down the line and stuff right now, because 6 months down the line, I as a fan will think more so that MJF could actually win the title, which is kind of the whole gig for me. Right now, I don't think he's going to win the title unless they just completely change gears on the program. But because it's happening so quickly, I'm just like, are we wasting the idea that MJF gets this title match? Like, and then what happens when he doesn't win the title? Does he get put? What happens to MJF if he doesn't win the title is more what I was thinking than who's next for Hangman, because you could create someone for Hangman, I think.
Well, the Hurt Syndicate could maybe their interference backfire and cost MJF the title, but did they already kick him out of that group?
Yeah, they thumbs downed him so hard.
Yeah, so maybe that was just a ruse to when they're going to come back and interfere. They're not booked on this show, right? They're not advertised for this show.
They're I think they're defending tag titles.
They are. Yes, right. They're against either FTR or
Brodito.
So they will be there. So
yeah,
okay. So they'll I'm guessing they're going to get involved somehow, some way. And just who does Hangman have as like strong challengers, heel strong challengers? Bobby Lashley could be a challenger. Kyle Fletcher, I guess, maybe. But MJF as a champion, a heel champion, you have multiple people that could chase him. You know, you have Hangman looking for revenge, of course, Will Ospreay, Swerve, Briscoe, and Omega for sure. Those are pretty big main events. So
yeah, I do wonder when Ospreay is going to get back in the mix, because I don't know if he can lose again before he wins it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, my fantasy booking was, maybe at the end of this year, MJF beats, or maybe the beginning of next year, MJF beats Hangman, and then Ospreay wins it next year at All In.
Yeah, and that could be too far away as well.
Yeah.
When the time happens, it's like, okay, we know he's gonna win it because it's gonna be in his home country. And
maybe at Forbidden Door London, that cage match, end of the match, he wins it for the baby faces, and he tells London, next time you see me in this ring, it's going to be at Wembley Stadium, and I'm going to win the world title.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, so what are some of the other matches? The coldest match, I think, on this entire show, which is really sad, is Okada and Swerve Strickland. Yeah. Man, has there been a worse build on an AEW match in quite a while?
Yeah, not much you can do with Okada these days. He's not a strong promo, and when they're trying to do anything outside of just wrestling, it doesn't look good, and
it feels like it
feels forced.
Swerve.
It's affecting him.
Yeah, like that segment. There was a timing issue with that segment. It felt like,
plus,
there was
delay with the technical issues and everything, so they probably had to feel like that. They felt like they had to rush. Though they had like extra a few minutes on the show, like after the Ops retained those 6-man tag titles. They had, I know they did the thing with Hangman and MJF after in the parking lot and yada, but they still had a lot of time where they're just kind of like in the ring just celebrating. So
yeah, the one, like the oddly timed show, like it was just like usually near the end of the show they're trying to get so much shit in that they got to go quick, and this one it was like, oh, we need to do this thing, and then it took a little while to get there. Like Samoa Joe's like, maybe we turn around and we raise our hands at this camera.
Yeah. Where I wonder how that main event did on the rating. I can't imagine it was
a strong one. I think we have it. I think I have it somewhere. I'll find him before we cut out. So the other stuff on this show, Tony Storm and Athena. I'm looking forward to that match. I think they've built it up fairly well. Mercedes and Alex Windsor and Persephone, and then whomever the Stardom woman is. So another 4-way style match for Mercedes to more than likely win. And then Kyle Fletcher and Hiromu is kind of an interesting match, though, in the building of the match and calling out who's New Japan's best hired gun. Like, I like Hiromu, but I would have not picked Hiromu.
Yeah. I mean, look at that. He came out as a surprise on Wednesday, and no one really reacted that much to him, like as a big star. So
he had to win that match, but that finish was so flat.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that match wasn't good, and he didn't really stand out. And he has a lot of injuries and stuff, and he's just not really the same. And he's getting older, and I guess it's a good win for Kyle Fletcher, but I don't think it means as much anymore. One thing, because New Japan itself is not hot much in the States anymore right now with the fan base. It's not like what it was like 4 years ago. So
The first time since 2017, not watching a single G1 match.
yeah, I know they got. I think they got to the final block play. I haven't even checked who won, or haven't had a desire to really watch it right now. I've been so busy.
All right, so the ratings for Dynamite, the quarter of the main event. So the main event went through the overrun, but the main event quarter was 570,000 and a 0.14, and it gained 3,000 and it gained about 9,000 in the demo for the 6 minutes, which was the end of the match, and Smojo raising the guys' hands like a bunch of times.
Yeah.
And then the Page interview with MJF attacking him. The show actually opened with 864,000 people. So whatever, I don't know if that was a lead-in thing. I have to imagine it was a little bit related to the lead-in because they haven't opened up that hot in a little bit. But they stayed right at around 700,000 for their viewership through the fifth quarter. But from the fifth quarter to the end of the show, it was pretty much a precipitous drop, except for the main event rose a slight bit, and then it stayed pretty even in the overrun. But yeah, like not a great pattern, but they were so high for that first hour that the overall viewership was pretty high for the show.
Okay, it's good.
Okay, let's should we hit? Let's stay on the AEW side just for a little bit, and we can talk about. Actually, you know what? I think we didn't even have to hit the AEW segment. We just pretty much covered everything AEW. But
I think so.
I think I still want to play the Tony Khan thing just for kicks.
Today's been one of the greatest days in the history of AEW.
All right, we did it, Tony. We spent the first 30 some odd minutes talking AEW. All right, let's kick it over to some WWE.
The recognized symbol of excellence in sports entertainment.
You know, when you said that about Tony, that people are like, see, I told you he owns part of the Observer. They had to do 30 minutes to keep Tony happy.
It's so funny. Like, you know, like, let's say that Dave was in the bag, right? Like Dave was he was in for Tony, and that just Tony's like, the Wrestling Observer, we're gonna change over to Beat Nick or whatever, with the Tony Khan company that they don't want anyone to know who owns or whatever. Like, this website would be run so much differently. Like, you would probably be banned for one. You wouldn't be on this show. And yeah, so
I'd be rich. It's funny to his ass.
Yeah. We would.
Let's do it.
We would do the whole the Joe Silva thing where we'd just cash out and we'd move to Hawaii. That would be the way. All right, let's talk some WWE. We kind of talked about the high points of Raw already and the clash in Paris. What did you think of on SmackDown, the Cody and Cena segment with Logan and Drew?
I thought it was good. Solid segment.
It's kind of cool to have John Cena back, right?
Yeah. No, I liked it. For that audience, I mean, what a treat for them to get that tag match. And I know they, only wrestle like 7 minutes, but they don't care. They're super excited to see those, Cena wrestle that night. So that was cool.
And what are your thoughts on what they're doing with our guy Sami Zayn? It's like, I'm not like, it feels like a push, but then there's like a step back in some time. Like, he was over on Crazy on SmackDown, obviously, because they were in Montreal. Yeah. But then on Raw, he's in the match, and you're thinking like, oh, we may start getting the road to Sami Zayn and the world title. And DQ finish. Like, there's like weird stuff still going on with him, I think. Yeah,
it's a long-term story they're telling with him. I still think he's probably win the title sometime at WrestleMania next year. He's probably win the Royal Rumble next year. The way they're really hitting this, quest to win the world title. So I definitely feel like he's winning one of those titles, most likely the world title at WrestleMania.
And the one thing we didn't talk about when it came to Seth's match, So, like you, I really liked the LA Knight promo. I thought it's like my favorite promo I think that I've ever seen from him. Some of that is recency bias. I'm sure, there's other things that he's done that I've liked. I just can't remember. But his reasoning and the way that he manipulated CM Punk in that promo, I thought was really great. Almost to the point of where I was like, yeah, Punk, you're kind of a jackass about this. Like, I'm on LA Knight's side. And the way that he was like, look, you had your match. This was mine. You interfered in mine. So I'm the one who beat this guy already on TV. And now I'm getting my opportunity. And, you kind of butted your nose in my business. What was that all about? Yeah. And then CM Punk is like, what, to save you from getting killed? I was like, I'm not so sure about that one, Punk. And so I was kind of on that LA Knight side. This is one of the few times in my wrestling fandom that I was like, you know what, LA Knight, I'm on your side.
Well, they both had valid points. That's why I liked it so much. And even, Punk would say, hey, you're dead, dude. He was going to beat you. He was going to smash your head into the ground on the concrete. You were done. So I like that. I like both had a great points. And I would have loved to see them have a singles match to determine who's going to wrestle Seth Rollins for the title, which would have been nice.
What about the Uso side of it? Because someone, I think it was our friend Kevin Ely was like, "What? I get the other two, but what's the Jay thing?" And I was like, "Well, I think the Jay thing is he didn't get his rematch with Gunther, so he thinks that he's deserving as well."
Yeah, that, and also he still has issues with Seth and the Braun group. So yeah, that's why he's in there. And he's a former world champion. Yeah, I don't think he ever got his rematch against Gunther, right? Gunther beat him in June, and
then
that was
he lost to Punk.
Yeah.
And I'm not even going to speculate on this Naomi thing, but whatever it is, if it's a health related thing, more power. I mean, best wishes to her. And if it is not, and if it is something unrelated and she's going to be back, whatever it is. But I think lots of people are speculating about different things. And I'm just like, I'm fine letting this one wait. But I will say, talk about somebody who recreated herself. And I still don't find her to be all that good of a wrestler, like in the ring. Like, I'm not really interested in her matches, but I'm definitely interested in her personality, in segments, in her promos. Just fantastic job. So she definitely deserves whatever award you would give to somebody for kind of reinvention and getting themselves back on the map.
Yeah, I hope if they do decide, whatever reason is, they had to take the title off her, because I just hope they don't do a freaking 4-way match or multiple 3-ways that wrestled another 3-way. One time, I forget who was the champion. Maybe it was Batista or someone lost the title, had to strip the title. Remember they did like a Royal Rumble on television or a Battle Royal or something like that? Like, do that again. Like, do something just a little bit different.
Well, you remember what would have been Royal Rumble 2016? They had, I think Vince stripped Roman Reigns of the title, and then the Royal Rumble winner, they copied the 1992 Battle Royal, and Triple H won the title in the Royal Rumble.
I know there's like a mini Rumble on SmackDown one time. I think there was also a Battle Royal that was actually pretty entertaining. I think Kurt Angle won the title. I would do something like that just to kind of change it up, because I'm tired. Like I said, tired of these multi-person matches.
Yeah, I don't want to see a ladder match.
No.
But you know what match interests me, just based off of the angle, is Io Sky and Asuka. I'm like, sign me up, man.
Yeah, her and Io and Rox were having a good match on Raw, but I think the interference with the Kabuki Warriors,
it was kind of dumb.
The timing was off and it looked kind of goofy, and so
I thought Io broke Roxanne's face, but then in the replay, Roxanne was able to get out of the way, and maybe the legs hit her maybe in the upper chest or something, but didn't hit her in the face. Live, that thing, I thought she was like a goner live. I was like, oh, this one's done. But no, they lucked out on that one.
There was a couple moments where Io took some wacky bumps. I'm like, oh man, but she's able to bounce back. And didn't she have a bad neck too a while ago? So I mean, she's amazing. She's one of the very, very, very best, and
she's crazy over.
Yeah, Chloe. It's like Chloe's
she does
second.
the thing with the side of her head or whatever. Like,
Chloe's like
fans are into her.
second favorite wrestlers, Io Sky. And this is funny when she walked by there, she was wrestling with Rhea, and she was like, "Oh, like I kind of happy that I just want the best person to win." Like she's just happy, like they're wrestling each other. She was just rooting. If whoever won, she was gonna be happy. So that was pretty funny.
I don't think you watched NXT, but I saw
No,
a
I
match
did
that
not.
happened, and I was like, they made this match for John LaRocca. Nia Jax against Lash Legend.
How was it?
I didn't see it.
Oh,
But I Brian and Dave said it was okay. They said they liked it.
yeah. I just we binge watched Wednesday. That
The Netflix show?
not that we're just because I didn't see the first season, so I was catching up. So that's what I've been. Just nothing's grabbed me on freaking NXT. I think they had a match this week. It was like, or maybe it was last week. It was like Trick, the Moose, Javon versus Dark State. I'm like, did they do that match or something similar like 4 weeks ago?
Yeah, I think this is the main event of Raw or of NXT this week was that match. And then like Trick walked out or something, right?
Yeah, no interest right now. No one's really grabbing my attention on that brand. I mean, I hope Blake Monroe's doing good. I hope she's doing good. I don't know, but they need to spoof up that show somehow, some way.
Speaking of television shows, what else are you guys watching?
I started watching the show Untamed on Netflix. It was like takes place in Yosemite. It's like a murder mystery kind of thing. We kind of stopped watching that. I didn't think she was into it, but I was kind of into it. I was like, I gotta go finish. I got 2 more episodes left. And it got picked up for a second season, apparently. That's what it says on Netflix there. So I guess that's a good thing. And then Superman and Lois, I'm on the 3rd season of that, finishing that up.
Where we watch Platonic on Apple TV Plus. When it gets to Apple TV Plus, like there's a pretty high level of like Ted Lasso, Shrinking is great. We like the new golf show Stick. I thought it was well done. But then there's like a little bit of a drop off, and Platonic is on the little bit of a drop off, but it has Seth Rogen and Rose Byrne. So we're watching that. And yeah, have you ever watched Silicon Valley?
No, I heard it was always good. I never got into it though.
Yeah, I'd never seen it, and I stayed away from it because I'm like, I live this stupid stuff. Like, what do I need to watch a show about this, right? But now it's like 10 years later or whatever, and I get a kick out of it. It's pretty funny. Yeah. But yeah, just I'm more just watching lots and lots of movies these days. That's
I'm getting
what I've been doing.
I've already got my list going for the Halloween season for a horror movie.
Yeah. So, you got like 2 months.
Well, I start in September because my list gets pretty long. so I'll be hitting those. I watched Alien Romulus for the first time.
Okay.
Thought that was really good.
All right. So the TNA stuff that we were talking about. So there's been lots of discussion about whether or not TNA is going to get a television deal, a new television deal, and maybe their relationship with WWE is going to help in that way. And it sounds like CW and A&E were kind of the ones that were rumored, and I thought immediately there's no way they're going on A&E because WWE content on A&E does minuscule numbers. Like it makes no sense to go on A&E. And so, but the CW, like you watch the NXT numbers, they're pretty consistent. They're around the same. They do very similar TV ratings as Dynamite. Now it's a little bit of a different ecosystem over the air broadcasting. There's so much more homes than AEW's show. But just on a TV rating to TV rating perspective, they do similar numbers. And so if you're TNA and the CW network is like, we can only have so many seasons of All American. We need some other content. And you put TNA on there, like that's kind of interesting. Like I don't know if that would get me to watch. I might check in on episode 1 just to see what it's all about. But the idea seems to be that they consider it to be maybe the new Dynamite killer. That's a wrong way of saying it, but to kind of compete against Dynamite, kind of like what they did with NXT a bunch of years ago. And the idea might just be to run TNA on Wednesday nights to, kind of interfere a little bit with AEW and maybe just try and make Tony Khan go crazy. I don't know what the plan is, but like the pay-per-view stuff, it is what it is. But Tony Khan's business is in television. Like that's where he makes all this money. So it doesn't make sense to me to chase the pay-per-view stuff and worry about that. It does make a lot of sense to interfere with the TV. I just don't know that TNA is the product to do it.
Yeah, I don't think TNA is going to take much from AEW. I think they just want to pester it in a way. It's just the wrestling business. It's always been like that. Competition, just messing with each other, So where will it end up? I've been hearing stuff on Peacock, right? Have you been hearing Peacock as well?
So Peacock, if you were to put the show streaming on Peacock, I think it would actually be a worse idea because Peacock is in about 41 million homes. And as we've seen with these streaming networks, people watch that stuff whenever they want.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be good to have, and I guess if you're on the CW, you don't really have the opportunity to have a streaming side. I guess there's a CW app, but I can't imagine anyone watches content through that. But if the play to me is they see TNA as something that can interfere with AEW TV, the only way that it makes any sort of sense whatsoever is to put it live on television head to head. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. So that has been out there. And just today, I heard a rumor and like, I didn't even want to say anything, but then all of a sudden I saw that it got out and there was like all kinds of people talking about it. But there was a rumor today that of all people, Lorenzo Fertita was interested in buying TNA. And you would think, what is Lorenzo Fertita, former owner of UFC before selling it off to the Endeavor team, what would he want to do with wrestling? Well, the answer is probably nothing. The answer is probably that he would do it as a favor to his friends at TKO so that WWE wouldn't get into some antitrust stuff and whatever it is. Now, again, this is complete speculation, complete rumor. I talked to someone today and I was like, have you heard about this? They're like, yeah, I've been hearing about it for a week, but I haven't heard anything confirmed. So it is what it is. Yeah. I don't know, like if there is actually any sort of meat to it, I'm sure Dave and I will talk about it on Friday, but if there isn't, then we won't, because he's not going to want to talk about something that's kind of made up. So that that was like one, it's like you hear these names of the past and you're like, I haven't heard that name in forever. Like Lorenzo Fertita and like wrestling, like that's relate to wrestling. This is wild. Like you just can't make some of this stuff up.
He's trying to put it on Spike TV. Like, wait, no, it's not there.
Well, they still have the Paramount Network, I guess.
Yeah, they do.
Somebody on F4W, Araya asked me, or was just asking randomly in general, like, does the Paramount still have the former Spike TV? And I was like, I don't think so. And then she was like, nope, they do. And then I looked it up. I was like, oh my gosh, that channel still exists.
That's
I
crazy.
thought it was dead.
Bjorn Rebney's going to come back.
That would be hilarious.
Bellator. Scott Coker's involved. It's like a big. I don't know what TNA is going to do for anyone, honestly, but it just exists. They're going to find a spot for it to exist and hopefully get some right fees with it. I guess that's maybe they're convincing Lorenzo this is what you can get. It's a nice, if you can get that going, all you have to do is put the cash up and then here's some broadcast partners. And
so NXT gets like 20 million, I think. Is it 20? Is it 20 that they get from CW? Something like that.
Something like that. So what would TNA get? Like 10?
I don't know. Maybe they could get 20. Can you promise that they would get similar ratings to NXT? I don't know.
And does it hurt TNA? TNA. Does it hurt NXT?
Well, I mean,
wrestling on that channel.
There's such a crossover show, so I wonder if they would just bleed into each other, like they just have. But so the one thing that I was thinking of is what I would expect WWE to do if this was actually truth is for like the first 5 or 6 or 8 or 10 shows, you're having main roster WWE talent crossover, and they're saying that on Raw that they're coming over to TNA.
AJ Styles. And...
No, I'm thinking like Cody Rhodes and guys like that. Because you want
Cena showed up.
Yeah, exactly. Cena. but so the reason why is because if we go back to an NXT and AEW were running head to head, they were doing that too. They were bringing, regular main roster talent. The problem is that when they were doing that in 2019, WWE was not even close to being as popular as today. So maybe they think, yeah, like we can actually, it will work this time versus last time. And I do wonder, when Triple H was running NXT and Vince McMahon sort of considered it, kind of blamed him like as why AEW didn't die. I wonder if he kind of has that in his craw. Like, he's a competitor, right? Like, I wonder if that is a lot of this competitiveness. And, I'm sure Nick Khan is very much involved in them competing with AEW in the way that they do. But I wonder if that's kind of the craw in the back for Triple H. Like, that's the one thing that I did not figure out. And now that he's been so successful as the booker, he's like, man, if I could go back, or maybe I can recreate that moment and I can show them, I wonder, like, it sounds petty, but your best athletes or your best competitors, they're just petty as shit. Like, to hear Michael Jordan, like, create like reasons to hate people, and Kobe Bryant create reasons to hate people that didn't do anything to them just so they could get up and be as competitive as possible. Like, I think that's just innate in some people. I don't know if that's innate in Triple H, but I do wonder if that still bothers him, that he was never able to do as well as they wanted him to do with NXT against AEW.
I think it's a bald asshole comment. Straight up, I think both him and Sean are like, all right, let's just pester this little guy.
That's a good reason too, if you're petty.
They hear the stories, they know they can get to him, so
that's hilarious. All right. So I looked and TNA has a show, and I'm not even going to pretend to know that I know anything that's going on, but they have a show tomorrow night that's going to be on TNA Plus. It's Emergence, and the Hardys are on it. They're facing the Rascals. Main event is Trick Daddy against Moose, which I'm sure will be really good. Leon Slater against Cedric Alexander. That match sounds pretty interesting. Ryan Nemeth against the Hometown Man. I don't know who the Hometown Man is. Christopher Gray, better known as Cody Deaner, is now the Hometown Man.
Oh, okay. I know who that is.
Yeah, wait. He looks familiar.
Yeah, he was. When I was watching TNA back in the pandemic days, he was there as, I think, one of Eric Young's guys and one of his another Eric Young group of weirdos.
I do want to apologize to Mike Gilbert for us even bringing up TNA, because he's like, the one time you guys talk about TNA and you don't even know who these guys are. That's my bad. But I did want to bring up the television stuff and the Lorenzo Fertita stuff. Yeah, but I kind of want to see Trick and Moose. That sounds like a really fun match.
Did we see that match though?
I think we saw it on TV, like on NXT.
Yeah, he had a match, or was it someone else with Moose? But yeah, I don't know about TNA. It's there, it exists. I think it's a good place to send talent for NXT and WWE, and I still think it really take too many viewers from AEW, unless, like you said, unless they start throwing the Codys, the Drew McIntyres, the Jey Usos, etc., John Cena's, Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar just destroying the whole roster. What 2-hour episode? Just having on a rampage.
Yeah, maybe they're just like, you know what? We want Mike Santana to eventually get to the main roster, and you're going to see his rise here, and he's going to beat some WWE guys on the way. Stuff like that.
What guys, though? Like Grayson Waller or
Rusev, baby?
No, Rusev's going to end up tag team with Sheamus. That's my prediction.
I love those guys. I love those guys together.
They had an awesome pull apart. Was it on this show? They had a really good pull apart. It was really wild and crazy.
Because of the disqualification or whatever.
Are you going to be watching TripleMania? That's the main question for you.
That is a no. I was going to mention this next is because they are on YouTube on Saturday, and Vikingo against Dom against Dragon Lee against El Grande Americano. And it is not the Chad Gable version, I'm guessing. It is the very tall. It is the very tall and svelte man that we've been seeing in this suit of late.
Yeah, he's doing a great job with it though. He has the same like art, the hand gestures, and
I imagine that you're going to find some time for it.
I do. I might turn on like late Saturday night. See what I get if I get to it. There's a couple. That 6-person tag match sounds kind of interesting with Lola Vice and who's she teaming with? I forget. I was looking at the card. I actually have the card here. Let me see it.
It's Lola Vice and Nino Hamburguesa and Mr. Iguana versus Judgment Day. Yeah,
that's right. Judgment Day's on the card. Yeah, I sent it to our good friend, the Heartbreak Kid, Dave Rubio, where he's wanted to know what was on the show. But then I saw like this match. I was like, oh, Los Garzas versus Pagano and Psycho Clown. And then I saw Street Fight. I'm like, shit, dude.
Well, I mean, it's going to be, I think it's probably better for Psycho Clown if this match is a street fight, don't you think?
Yeah, he's horrible. Like he's like he's a huge star, but he's one of those huge stars that are like a really bad wrestler. Like he was on SmackDown. Him and Mr. Iguana had a match on SmackDown a couple weeks ago. Man, he's not ready at all. But he's I know he's a big star, but he was horrible.
Natalia's in a 3-way for the women's championship.
Who's Flammer?
I don't know.
Flammer.
Lady Flammer. She's 24 years old, I think. 25 years old.
Wow, Lady Flammer.
Flammer's real name is not a matter of public record. Mass wrestler.
My favorite wrestler right now. That's the match I want to. El Macias, is that Ricky Banderas? Ooh, that guy. The old,
it is, yes.
Oh my god.
He's is 3 days older than me.
Yeah, he's already lived like 6 lives compared to you.
So there you go. And Corey Graves, who's going to do a great job. He was my favorite. He was my favorite part of that show when he did the commentary. Corey Graves, JBL, and I guess Conan is going to be alongside the 3 of them, or the 2 of them.
Oh, that might just be worth it just to tune in for that. But Ruby and I both agree that it'd be kind of fun to see Dom in this environment.
Yeah,
like do his thing. So I
mean, it'll be great for him.
I assume he's winning this belt, or Old Ground Americano. Those are my 2 picks.
I would want Dom to win it for sure.
Yeah, you gotta give El Gran Americano something to do.
Okay, so I'm trying to figure out the IWGP or the G1. Sorry. So it looks like Evil won one of the blocks.
Oh goodness!
So he earned a bye into the semifinals. And then David Finlay and Yota Tsuji advance, but they have to have a match to get to the semifinals. And then in the B block, Zack Sabre Jr., he earned a bye to the semis on the B block side. And then Shota and Takeshita, they have to face off to get to the other semifinals. And
it's gonna be Tsuji and Takeshita, I'm sure.
But did all that stuff happen today, or those semifinals matches are happening later tonight? That's the part I'm always confused about.
I think it's still to come. I think they finally finished the blocks. Was the most on the 13th? I think they finished the blocks, or the B block. I think.
Oh no! Okay, my information is dated. Yota Tsuji and Takeshita both secured their semifinal spots.
There you go.
So the semifinals are set: Evil versus Yota Tsuji and Zack Sabre Jr. versus Konosuke Takeshita. You know what? I may have to tune in some G1. I may have to break that streak or continue my streak because I really want to see the Zack Sabre Jr. Takeshita match.
They already wrestled once already, and I think Sabre won that match. So I'm guessing Takeshita's going to win and he wrestles Tsuji. I think Tsuji's going to win beat Takeshita for the. I don't know. For G1, we'll see.
I think I think if it's Takeshita and Tsuji in the finals, I think I will have to tune in to watch that match too.
I like Takeshita, but sometimes he gets a little indie up his butt. Like
very much
does. Like these brain busters of Florida don't mean nothing, and I'm like, oh, God, like what are you doing this crap for? Like, but then sometimes he has like a really, really good match. So I guess it all depends on the opponent he has. But I'm sure I think him and Tsuji had a really good match last year, if I remember. I think it was a semifinals as well, I believe. And then I think Takeshita won that. I think I'm trying to remember, but either way, I think it's going to be Tsuji and Takeshita in the finals, which I kind of that's what I had on my when I saw the brackets originally. That's who I had on my as a final. I didn't really do all the bracket stuff, but that's who I had the final.
All right, I think we're good.
Did it?
We're gonna have a pretty big preview next week of Forbidden Door, and I'm probably not gonna go back to NXT quite yet, but there will be some matches for the NXT show that we could talk about, and then Clash in Paris is the following week, and then who knows, there may be an update to the TNA story. By the way, before we get out of here, what did you think of the UFC and Paramount deal?
I was pretty shocked, but I didn't think. I was just trying to wonder how much they said it's not. Everything's gonna be free, right? Not free, but everything's gonna be on the app. There's no more pay-per-view. Yeah. But okay, you know me. I was really into mixed martial arts, MMA, right?
Oh, yeah.
I like it was to me at one point. Just I was more interested in that than pro wrestling, and then it just kept getting watered down, and so. My fear is it's going to get watered down even more because of the pay-per-view, aspects gone. And they're just going to be like, okay, this is the card. And it's like, dude, that's like an opener prelim is now like the semi-main event, this card, or the match that could have a fight that could have been like maybe the opener on a pay-per-view is now you're trying to sell me on as a main event on this card. So that's I know you follow definitely a lot closer than I do these days.
And I've only been watching the shows that I have to do observer radios with Dave. Like, but I am not. I'm a little bit more than I have been, but I'm still not super locked in.
The fighters, how technically great they are, but at the same time, there's no one that's a star to me.
There's no Chuck Liddells these days.
Yeah, there's no. There might be gimmicks, people with some gimmicks on there, some characters, but it's not breaking through mainstream for me.
Yeah.
I was just talking about this today about this. Like, where's that Rampage? That guy, a crazy guy like that, or there's no Ronda, there's no Connor. There's just. I'm sure those guys are great and those gals are great fighters. It's just no one's breaking through. You're like, man, I have to see them fight. Honestly, I'm more interested in watching a Jake Paul boxing match at this point in time than an MMA fight.
The one fight you might get into, and I don't know when this fight is going to happen. So I just want to do a quick Google search. Because you talk about like the lack of personalities and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The one fight that I can't wait to see whenever we get down to it is Amanda Nunes and Kayla Harrison.
Okay.
Like Kayla Harrison, she's in her mid-30s, but she is jacked to the gills.
Yeah.
And that fight is so interesting to me, not because I think Kayla's necessarily going to win. Like, I think Amanda is probably a level above her as a fighter, though Amanda has been away from the sport for a while. But that is the kind of fight that you're talking about that doesn't really exist right now, which is, someone coming from the outside and had success somewhere else, and they come into the UFC, and the UFC gatekeeper's like, all right, I'm ready for you. And then they have the match. Now, Kayla's been in the UFC for a little while now, but just coming from the big fish in the small pond coming to the UFC. You're right. There aren't those fights as much anymore.
Mm-hmm.
There are some characters still. They're just not promoted in the same way anymore because UFC is very strict with their schedule. Fight night, pay-per-view. Fight night, pay-per-view. And they have their schedule locked in, but the guy who's fighting, I think this weekend, actually, Dracus Duplessis, if you actually put some marketing dollars behind him, he's kind of goofy and he's kind of likable, but to the outside world, nobody knows who this guy is. Like hardcore UFC fans, like, oh, he's great. I want to watch him fight because he's very entertaining. But he has no scope to the outside world. He may be doing social stuff for all I know, but I'm not sure. But like that kind of guy in the old days of the Ultimate Fighter and stuff, you could actually make him to be a little bit bigger than he is today. But again, like the brand is bigger than everything, and that's how they make all of their money. So it is beneficial to them that the UFC name has more value than any one particular fighter because they make their money off the UFC name.
Yeah, I'm not going to duplicate that one for sure. But you know what? Also, too, remember the Reebok gear?
Oh yeah,
everyone was like looking the same. They missed the old banners with all the sponsors.
Oh yeah.
I miss all that stuff. I miss
Condom Depot, baby.
Tom Lawler. That's
I was thinking of Tom today too because I think he showed like his hip socket or something on Twitter.
Yeah, I saw that too.
But like remember,
Tom,
yeah, I know. I feel so bad for the guy. But remember, he would be at the weigh-ins and doing all the characters and stuff and making the other guys uncomfortable and stuff like that was so much fun. So Dracus Duplessis faces Khamzat Chimaev this weekend.
Sign me up.
And see, you don't know either.
But I'm sure they're great fighters, though. I'm sure they're great fighters. It's just
not only are they great fighters, but they are really interesting personalities. They're just not marketed in any special way.
They need to get them out there somehow. I don't know how, like on commercials or something. Or
who's fighting second from the top?
Aaron
Pico is making his UFC debut.
Oh my gosh, that's a name I've heard in a long time. Who was he? Like BFL or something like that, or
he was Strike Force, and then not Strike Force, Bellator, and he was Scott Coker. Had signed him very early and invested in him, and he just had a little bit of a glass chin when he was put in with some of the better fighters. But he is on a 3-fight winning streak. But he is fighting a real guy in his first fight. So we'll see what happens, but that's second from the top. So I know Dave's going to want to watch that. So I'm sure that we'll be covering that on Saturday night. So I may be doing back-to-back shows with Dave.
Yeah. I know my brother-in-law, he's a pirater. I don't want to say his name out. I'm not going to say his name out loud, but he's always watching the fights and he's invited me over a couple of times. But
that's an interesting thing about this deal, though, is do you lessen the piracy by making it a little bit easier to watch?
True, very true. I think they need to market their talent more. Somebody needs to stand out as a star, and I'll probably maybe get back into it.
You never hear a UFC fighter on the Bill Simmons podcast, right? But I just heard Cody Rhodes on the Bill Simmons podcast. I see Ariel Helwani on the Bill Simmons podcast. But these UFC fighters that they're either John Jones is super famous, but he's also an idiot. He's also an idiot, and he feuds with Dana, and he can't get himself booked. And Connor's a maniac. And so, like, who is the person that you roll out there and you go, hey, we want to do 30 minutes to promote this thing? Daniel Cormier, maybe, but I don't hear him outside of UFC ecosystem kind of stuff. I think he may have been on some pro wrestling podcast, but who's the guy that you roll out there and you go, big show? I guess Joe Rogan, but Joe Rogan picks and chooses the stuff that he does these days, so he's not on every show.
Like, where do you put these guys and gals to get exposure? Is it late night television? I don't think that's not.
I think it's podcasts. I think it's like these really
TikTok videos.
Okay, so no one has a bigger podcast than Rogan, right? Like he's probably got the biggest. I don't know if he brings these fighters on to do because they wouldn't be great guests for the normal stuff that he does. But yeah, you have to find. I don't know if like who would be like if we could pick one. Have you ever heard Smart List with Jason Bateman? And so Jason Bateman and who's the guy from Arrested Development? Job. The He did the Lego Batman voice. What's his name?
Oh yeah. I know who you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about. So the three friends, one of them brings on a guest, and they have to predict. Either they give clues, you guess who the guest is, and the guest comes on, and they have this like great conversation with the guest about the guest's career. And not that that's the most popular podcast in the land, but that's a very respected podcast, and it's very well done conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Who would be the UFC person that you would put on that show? Nobody's really famous enough. And Dana White, but Dana White's not going to play ball. Like, he's a businessman.
Maximilian Dupree, we were just saying.
Oh, you're Drake Duplessis.
Yeah, that's
Dracus Duplessis.
Yeah, there you go. Let's see. Now you got me interested to see this guy fight, because now we're just talking about his name.
Well, for the next August, September, October. So yeah, for the next 4 or 5 months, they're still in that pay-per-view model, and then I think January, I think they start on Paramount Plus.
Maybe they could work an angle where like the Kelsey brothers are at the Taylor Swift concert. Some UFC fighters come out and beat them up on stage with Taylor, and get some attention somehow, some way. Like, they got to do something,
that would be a great podcast for a UFC fighter to go on. Is the Kelsey brothers podcast?
Yeah.
But who's the guy? I can't even think. You'd say, maybe Chael. No, Chael's so full of shit. Nobody wants him on their show.
Yeah, but you want someone that's fighting now.
Totally. Yeah, I can't think of anybody who's active.
Yeah,
I mean, Max Holloway. He's probably not famous enough, though. I like his personality.
Is Kayla entertain? Is she personal? Like, does she ever? She's just kind of like just jacked. She's kind of.
I think she's personable. I don't know if people would consider her a celebrity. The problem is you got guys like the Diaz brothers who are famous, but they're not eloquent in any way, so that wouldn't work. And of their days are over. So yeah, it's hard. It's hard the way that they do it when the brand is the star and the fighters aren't really the star. I know Ryan Frederick will probably send me a list of like 3 or 4 guys who he thinks could probably do a good job. But the fact that I couldn't come up with one like off the top of my head is part of the problem.
Well, if Duplicity did Hot Ones.
No, he's not famous enough. The host is more famous than that guy.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, dude, I was thinking about this for New Japan, which is kind of crazy. I'm thinking like, how can New Japan get popular? They just have the streaming app. Like, how could they get? Are they on shows in Japan? Yeah. Television shows. Did he do those game shows? I gotta ask Jeff that when he was, because he was there. I know he did some stuff for. I don't think anything like major, like a television network or anything. So, like, you talk about Japan and like, I don't know why those guys aren't as famous, right now.
Yeah. Well, outside of
no television.
Tanahashi and Naito are still there, but they're kind of the old war horses, and who knows what Naito's gonna do. But when AEW takes a few of your guys, like that kind of tells you that those guys consider New Japan like as not as important as, or not as a way to be rich, than the American promotion. Yeah, I'm looking at the world champions, and like Ilya Topuria is like fantastic fighter, but I don't think you can put him on anything. Maybe Tom Aspinall, but still he's not famous, I don't think. So yeah, it's tough. He's the guy who John Jones wouldn't fight unless they paid him like a mountain of money, and then they said, okay, we're going to pay you a mountain of money. He's like, I'm good. I don't need this fight.
So now we need this Aspinall to show up to the John Jones Fan Fest thing, and he just call him out like Mr. T at Rocky 3, dude. That's what we need.
John Jones might get one of his boys to, do some bad stuff. You don't want to do that.
Day guys would shove each other in the hotel lobby, and that was a big deal. And remember those days? Do they still do that stuff?
Yeah. No, they don't. I don't think so. Why? They all make a better living than they did, so they just want to stay they just want to stay in the good services of the company so that they don't get cut and they keep making money.
Do you remember that UFC show I covered with Dave, like live at ringside?
No, I don't remember that one.
What show was that? It was in Sacramento,
Was it WEC show?
Yeah,
Or
he's like,
UFC
"Do you want?"
show?
It was UFC show. He's like, "Do you want to cover it for the Observer site?" And I said, "Sure." I just basically got credentials to sit there at the desk, do nothing. I was like, all like. Anyways, Shogun Hua comes out, and he had like an entourage of fools. I mean, it's like a whole like Brazil came out this damn hotel lobby. I was like, "What are these guys doing?" I mean, bringing back all these memories. That's where I met Ariel for the first time, in the Ariel just pestering Dave for wrestling comments. I remember that. So I was totally nervous, like, what am I doing here? But whatever. I just followed Dave. You just follow Dave, and that's when I got into. I was somehow sitting next to Joe Silva having lunch before the show.
Nice.
And Dave just goes, "Sit here. We'll sit here." And just Joe Silva. I'm like, "Wait, this is Joe Silva in front of me." And they're like, they're all talking, but looking at me like, "Are we supposed to be talking openly with this guy?" Oh, he's with Dave, so I guess it's okay, kind of thing. So funny. Good times.
I do have one, and you probably don't even know this guy, but he would resonate with the youngsters. Is Sean O'Malley.
Yeah, I know Sean O'Malley.
The problem is that he is not a champion anymore. So you kind of have to win as well because the fighters are so good. But Sean O'Malley might be our best bet, except it would be more of a lean towards the kids, and I don't know how many older UFC fans would consider him to be that big of a star. But anyways,
yeah.
All right. That is it. We will be back next week. If you watched us on YouTube, send me an email, gg@fightgamemedia.com or garrett@f4wonline.com, either one. And if it's the troll email like I got the other day, I'm just hitting spam on your email. So, that may affect your email settings. That's all I'm going to do if you're going to troll me. But if you want to see these shows, if you're watching on video and you're like, hey, like this is kind of cool, let me know. And I may just put them on the YouTube channel. I don't, because I don't know if people are watching, hour and 20-minute YouTube videos, but maybe you are and you want to see it. And it is one way to kind of get around the paywall, but we do make money off of the ads. So I think F4W will be fine if we do get people watching live or watching the uploaded version of our show. All right. That is it from here. For John, I am Double G. See you when we see you. Peace out.